Hey you guys, it is Ninfa and thank you so much for taking the time to watch this. As I always say, you can make more money, but you can't make more time. So I'm so blessed to have you watch this. So here's the deal. Are you still on track with those goals that you set in January? Right? Some of you guys are like, what goals? Or others are like, oh, I'm not even close. I'm not even going to bother. Or some of you are like, yes, I'm quarter way there. I'm crushing things right now. So I really want to talk to you guys, especially for those of you guys who are like, what goals? Or I haven't been up on that for a while. I want to help you to reframe. I want to help you to readjust and get back in the game. And then for those of you guys that are on set and ready to rock and roll with your goals, is it realistic still? Are you on your way to accomplishing that year goal, or is it going to take you a little longer? So I am reading the book Eat That Frog. I've read this like years ago, but I need to read it again. You know those books where you're like, I gotta read that again. And so in the first chapter, he talks about goal setting. And here's the deal. Many of us overestimate what we can do in a year and underestimate what we can do in 5 or 10 years. Like, you could literally change your life in 5 or 10 years. You could be totally different person in 5 or 10 years. Your life could be totally in the opposite direction, whether it going backwards or going forward in a positive direction, but it could be totally different. But in a year time, sometimes we make goals that are a little more than just a stretch goal. It's going to take like every ounce of your being to make something happen that you most likely will do in 5 or 10 years. So let's just say you are starting from scratch and you want to make $1 million in a year, right? And let's say you have a candle business or something like that, right? You're going to have to figure out, okay, how many candles do I need to sell in a year to make $1 million? You're now making $0 right now. You're starting from the ground up, right? And so you may find you need to sell 1 million candles for $10 a pop, in order to actually have a profit of $1 million, right? So all your expenses have to be paid out of that money. Expenses meaning you could be doing it out of your house. You could be doing this from an actual brick and mortar business. You could be, getting the supplies and equipment and all that stuff. You got to make sure all those expenses are taken out and that you actually are achieving that 1 million goal at the end of the year. So that could be a lot. You may find that it's 1 million candles you have to sell. So what does that mean quarterly? How many do you have to sell quarterly? How many do you have to sell monthly? How many do you have to sell weekly? And how many do you have to sell daily in order to hit that goal? And you may find that's more of a 3 or 5 year goal than it actually is a year goal. But can you make 100,000 in a year? That's a stretch goal for sure, especially if you're making $0 now. But it is more reasonable that you can do that, right? Most of us are working jobs where we're making 40, 50, 60 grand a year. Right? And so we know how to make that money. So it's just a little bit more stretch to make that extra 60, 50 or $40,000 a year, in our minds. Right? And so it'll be easier to do so. So maybe you don't have to sell 1 million candles. You only have to sell 100,000 candles in a year. And then if you break that down, obviously those are lesser amounts that you have to sell. So be reasonable. You may have to do some research, find out how long the average person it takes for them to achieve a certain goal, and then write your goals accordingly. Okay, so now he says, number 1, take a clean sheet of paper and make a list of 10 goals you want to accomplish this year. All right, and write your goals as though a year has already passed and they are now reality. Use the present tense. Be positive. Do it in first person. And so that are immediately accepted by the subconscious mind that it's already happened, right? So he wants your mind to already accept it. So for instance, I earn X number of dollars per year. I weigh X number of pounds. I drive a certain car, a such and such car, right? And when you do that, you're doing it first person, it's positive and it's already happened. And so therefore, when you're striving for it, you're in a mindset that you've already done it. And so therefore you act like a person that already has it. Do you know what I mean? And so therefore you're going to be working towards that goal as somebody already has it and has already accomplished that. And then, again, it's going to require some research on how does one person get such and such car? How does one person make such and such amount of money? How does one person, and then you do the things that they do in order to get it, right? Mimicking is the best when it comes to finding out how to do something. Here's the deal. Most people have already accomplished what you want. So go find out what they did. Google is your best friend. All right. All right. And then number 2, he says, review the list of the 10 goals and select the one that will that if you achieve it would have the greatest positive impact in your life. Right. So a lot of our goals are going to be relationship goals. It's going to be financial goals. It's going to be physical goals. Like, physical, like health goals. It's going to be environmental goals, like where you're living and all that other stuff. And so therefore you have to look at that list and figure out which one would be most impactful. Here's the deal. There's 3 things that usually impact the most for these goals. You need to have enough money for them, you need to have time for them, and you need to have skills, right? And the most of the time, it's money and time that are the biggest impact in order achieving a goal. So if you look at your 10 lists, your 10 goals, and you look at that one, can that one goal help 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or most of your goals if you accomplish that? And that's usually the one you should be able to pick for that year, so you could strive for that one thing so it kind of knocks over a domino for the rest of them, right? So if you're trying to decide and you have no idea which one you should do, usually financial is the best one to go with, because most of us need the money in order to achieve a lot of things in our lives. But you may be like, I don't need the money. I'm already making millions a year. I got that down. Then what's the one thing that you're going to achieve that's going to affect you the most in a positive way? Maybe it's relationships, maybe it is your health. You've been neglecting that for quite some time or what have you. So that is my tip for you today. Write 10 goals down for the year. You may have to do some research to see what it took to get those goals accomplished and if it can be done in a year, and then pick the one that's going to help you achieve the most in your year or in your life. All right. So that is my tip for you. If you want to get my notes from this bad boy, just message me and I'll be happy to send them to you. Talk to you soon. Bye.